£9,000. £9,000 of damage as a result of a water bottle falling onto a rear footwell. £9,000, I mean, a cringe. We're talking here about the 2-year-old £40,000 plus Hyundai that was completely bricked by a bit of water getting onto the rear footwell. It is so important that we talk about these absurd design failings, if nothing else, to stop more people from being screwed over. Right, so let me give you the story. What happened here is this owner's going down the road. He has to hit the brakes. A water bottle that was in the rear cup holders flown out. He said he felt it hit the back of his seat and then drop onto the floor. As it hits the floor, it spilled out, unknown to him, so the water's been sloshing around a little bit in that rear footwell. Now pause there for a moment. Think about your own car and over the years the abuse that it's taken. I know mine has. Kids spilling juice in the back, you leave a window down and the rain gets in. Or even you get caught out in the rain yourself, so you're a bit drenched, you get in the car, the water's on the seats, it's on the floor. The point is, things happen to your everyday car. That's life. If cars couldn't withstand that, I'm not sure there would be a family car left on the road at this stage. This Hyundai, however, right after the water hits the floor, the indicators stop working. And by the time he gets the car home, it won't turn off. So it's still on, but it's completely unresponsive. So off the car goes to Hyundai on a flatbed, where they tell him the car's going to need a new wiring harness for the floor as well as the driver's seat, totaling £8,811 or $11,882, given that this was over in the US, but the car's sold worldwide, so it doesn't really matter where it happened. Could happen anywhere. Absolute insanity. But honestly, not all that surprising for two reasons. Number one, take a look at how low the critical wiring is on this model, an Ioniq 5. We're talking millimetres off the floor at points. Another owner on the subreddit, he's actually already pointed this out, saying that his wiring had been getting snagged and this is, quote, a disaster waiting to happen, and he's quite right. Why Hyundai chose to do this when pretty much every other manufacturer route their wiring above the seat plate is beyond me. Secondly, modern cars, and I'm not just targeting Hyundai here, modern cars in general, they have such complicated intertwined wiring at this point that one little problem can have a ripple effect throughout the entire car. So the way to think about it, each electronic system on the car is going to have its own module, right? And all these modules communicate. The way that they do so is through something called the CAN bus. Now, if you get a critical issue in one of these systems, even if it's a, non-mechanical, non-critical system, like a driver's seat, it can disrupt that CAN bus to the point where the other systems no longer function properly, which explains possibly why his indicators stopped working and the stop-start system no longer worked and so on. Could be the reason, could be a couple of things behind it. Now, as I say, this isn't specific to Hyundai. I've made videos in the past where a bulb getting a bit of water in it has caused, thousands of pounds of damage, or a non-genuine headlight. That was a good one. A non-genuine headlight resulted in a car not starting, being completely bricked as well. That is modern electronics for you. So anyway, coming back to our story here. The Hyundai in question, it needs almost £9,000 of work. And Hyundai, well, they put it down to either a water spillage, which we know it was, or, get this, what they also said, because I guess they didn't know at this stage, it could have been someone sitting in one of the seats with wet clothes, which apparently we're no longer allowed to do in our own cars. But not to worry, that's why we've got warranty. That's why we've got manufacturer warranty, isn't it? Nah, they refuse to cover it, because in their view, these problems were caused by external factors and not a manufacturing defect. This is where it gets a bit hazy, in my view, because had this been any other type of car, especially something a little bit older, the chances of such substantial damage are really quite low. I mean, this is an old Porsche Boxster, year 2000. I can't count the amount of times that I've left the roof down. I live in Scotland at the end of the day. It's rained. I've not been near enough to the car to run over and get it closed in time. The inside's gotten a bit soaked, but you let it dry out. It's no big deal. A soggy carpet is about as bad as it's going to get. You need to let it dry out. Might smell for a little while, but other than that, no big deal. Now, this Hyundai owner, he did also try and claim it through his insurance, just in case you're wondering, but that was promptly refused as well, as you'd probably expect. Now, just in case you're starting to think, well, spilling water on the floor, is it reasonable that it would cause this much damage? No, it's absolutely not. It's not reasonable whatsoever. This is quite an extreme example, but you might remember that Grand Tour episode when James had that fish tank in the back of that old Merc and it was sloshing around everywhere. Well, even that drove fine afterwards. Drop the clip in.
Hello.
Okay, I'll agree. It's probably not a manufacturing defect, but it is definitely a design defect or flaw to have vulnerable electronics so exposed that a passenger's snow-covered boots could brick your car. I mean, think about that. Or what about cleaning the carpets? Are they going to include a warning that you've not to do that now? And I'll tell you what makes this whole thing worse. Not even 2 weeks ago, I made a video, some of you might have seen it, and it was about a Hyundai that requires a £2,000 computer, a £60 per week subscription and a stable internet connection to change your brake pads. And yeah, you guessed it, exact same car. The model, an Ioniq 5, the exact same car. This Hyundai is very quickly becoming the textbook example of everything wrong with modern car longevity. Difficult and expensive to repair, yet extremely easy to break. It's almost as if they don't want you repairing or maintaining these cars. They just want you to go out and buy a new one. And the thing is, it isn't some exotic, desirable object or car. It's an everyday family car. It's everyday transport. It's supposed to get things spilled in it. It's supposed to be durable, be robust. That's what a family car is supposed to be. And the reality of the world that we live in now, the country that we live in now, almost half of the adult population, they can't afford a £1,000 emergency bill. And that used to be okay when we were running around in basic Fiestas and Civics that you yourself could repair or your local mechanic could make a good job of repairing, whatever kind of car you want to mention. Because most of the stuff on those, you'll fix it pretty cheaply and easily. But a £9,000 bill, because a little bit of water got spilled? Come on. Come on. Now I'm going to leave you with this, something to think about and something that I've mentioned before, but I think it is crucial. It's going to be crucial to the way that we move forward and buy cars. There's a simple solution to all of this. Imagine a repairability index for new cars where each car is graded on how difficult it is to repair. Hyundai would have never gotten away with this, not in a million years, if that existed. I think it could be the most useful resource when it comes to the world of new cars, because how else are you going to know if the car that you're buying needs specialist expensive equipment to change something as ordinary as brake pads, or needs a £500 computer because a rear light bulb has blown? True story, I made a video on that as well. You're not going to know. You're just not going to know until you're stuck with a broken car. Now this repairability index, ideally imagine a system like this was implemented at government level, where cars that were seen to be long lasting and easily repaired, they were the ones that benefited from lower tax rates. Think about that, what that would do for your wallet, knowing that the car that you're going to buy would very likely last 300,000 miles or more. And if it did break, it could be easily fixed. Think about what it would do for the environment, getting manufacturers away from this throwaway mentality that they seem to have adopted in recent years, this idea of planned obsolescence and nothing can be repaired anymore, just replace it. I can't say too much on this, and of course it's not at government level, I'm not a plant, but this is something that I've began to put plans together for. a basic consumer reference that gives an honest overview of longevity and repairability. I think it's badly needed, I really do. Now, I'll speak about more details as we get further into the development of this, but it is absolutely something that I'm pursuing. Now, on the used market, thankfully, the perfect check already exists. It's the one I speak about a lot on here, it's vehicle score. Now, this is an HPI check. Use this before you buy any used car. It's going to tell you a host of things about that car that you wouldn't otherwise know, like if it's got hidden finance, if it's got hidden written off crash damage on it. So make sure you do one of these before you purchase. They very kindly provide a 20% discount to every viewer of this channel. You'll find that in the description below, and do make use of it. It's a fantastic company run by fantastic people right here in the UK. Now, as ever, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this and you haven't already, you're new here, do hit the subscribe button. And also, if you've enjoyed this video, do hit the like button and share this to anyone that's thinking about buying a new car, especially a Hyundai. Right, back to work for me. I'll see you in a couple of days' time.